we've been able to identify over 223 different emotional triggers.
Wow.
So there's a ton, there's a lot. But I would say this is usually when people say, okay, Talia, but you've been doing this for so long. So just tell us, what are the most common ones? So that's where these clusters come in. The clusters of emotions are clusters because it's never just one emotion. There's multiple emotions at play.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Talia Wolf. If you don't know who Talia is, she is a conversion rate optimization strategist who helps marketers drive more leads and sales. Her book is called Emotional Targeting: Win Hearts, Boost Sales, Own the Market. She's also the founder of Get Uplift, an agency that specializes in conversion rate optimization for websites and landing pages. Her course is called Emotion Sells: The Accelerator. Talia, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm so excited to be here again. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm great. It's exciting to have you back. Today, Talia and I are going to explore emotions and targeting and how all that can help you with more leads and sales. And the last time Talia was on the show was a long time ago, 2018. And that feels like forever ago. So we're going to just start out today's show with tell us a little bit about what's been going on, in the last 7 years with you and the book and all the great stuff that you've been working on. Then we'll get into the goods.
Yeah. So, obviously over the past years, what I've been working on is building the agency. So Get Uplift, and helping many, many different types of brands just optimize their funnels and their websites. And as you mentioned, I literally recently launched a book called Emotional Targeting, which is the combination, I guess, of 15 years of work in conversion optimization. And it spells out the entire framework and how we do customer first optimization, how we focus on emotion and psychology and just help brands scale. And I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about the book itself. I'm excited about the feedback we're getting. And yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster. Writing the book is hard.
Well, and for those that have been longtime followers of things we've done here at Social Media Examiner, you may remember that Talia was in season 2 of our documentary called The Journey. And we hired her as we were growing social media marketing world to really help us dial in the messaging for social media marketing world. And that was successful. So for those of you, that's a flashback. For those of you that are like, what are you talking about? Well, you can go on YouTube. We published it on Facebook back in the day and YouTube. And Talia has been a really great asset for our company. So I'm excited to bring her on the show and to explore this concept that she's writing about in her brand new book. Now, let me start with an important question, which is we have a lot of marketers listening right now who are have been doing their craft for a very long time and might be a little skeptical of emotions. Why emotions in their marketing? Said another way, if people employ what we're about to talk about today, what is the upside? What could it make possible for them?
Okay. So first I'm going to say that honestly, when you said, I'm going to ask an important question, I honestly thought you were going to say Marvel or DC. And I was like, okay, prepare.
Nope.
So that's where my mind is.
That's because we were just talking about the new movie Superman, which we're both fans of. Yeah.
Okay. So, I would say that in order to talk about this, we need to take a few steps back and maybe talk about what anyone who's listening to right now might be struggling with. When it comes to optimization, there's a process, right? You go into Google Analytics and you find the leak in a funnel, and maybe you identify that it's your homepage, it's a landing page, it's a product page, and that's great. And you're like, okay, now I need to optimize the page. But knowing what changes to make on the page is the biggest black box that there is when it comes to optimization. No one really tells you. So what we do is we get on what I like to call the deadly hamster wheel of optimization. And that's when we are Googling for best practices, or we're using ChatGPT to ask it, how should I optimize my product page? We're copying our competitors because everyone does that. And we all think that our competitors know better than us. We are throwing tools at it. We're like, okay, if we can't figure this out, then maybe a new automation tool, a new landing page builder, a new A/B testing tool. We just try throwing everything that we can at the problem and nothing works. And we test buttons, we test pop-ups, we reduce form fields. And when that doesn't work, we just start guessing again and again. And the problem is that we're not actually optimizing for the right things. We are looking for the problem, where the problem is, and we're kind of guesstimating our way to optimization. This is where emotional targeting comes to play. When I started in conversion optimization, I did this. This is me. Like, I tried all the best practices. I was guessing my way through it and I didn't get the results that I wanted. I was button testing, blue versus red, whatever, all that good stuff. And nothing got me the results that I wanted. But I understood that if I could reverse engineer how people make buying decisions, then I could influence the buying decision, right? Because what is a conversion? A conversion is a decision. It is someone coming to your website, looking at what you have to say and saying that I need that in my life. And what I wanted to do along with my team is reverse engineer it. And what we learned when we hit the books and went back to our bat cave and did all the research was that emotion dictates everything that we do. Every single decision that we make in life is based on emotion. Now, this isn't a fluffy, nice to have thing. This is science. I poured through research that actually showed that without emotion, we lack the ability to make any kind of decision. So this was kind of the beginning for me to understand, okay, if I can identify the emotional drivers of prospects, then I will know what actual copy to write, what design to create, what images to choose, and how to create high converting experiences that resonate on an emotional level, and that will increase conversions. So to make a long story short, once we started using this process of identifying the emotions, identifying pains, hesitations, concerns, how people are feeling, how they want to feel, and I think maybe we'll get into that in a minute, but once we did that, it was so much easier for me to look at a page and go, oh my gosh, we're using the wrong copy. We're using the wrong stories. The social proof makes no sense. No one cares about this. And to start optimizing in a way that resonated and started driving so many conversions for our clients. So yeah, I guess it is the missing piece to every single marketing team, whether you're in B2C, B2B, you're a service provider, you need to be using emotion.
Okay, so here's what I heard you say. Hamster wheel. That's the first metaphor.
Like I'm on a hamster wheel.
That's the first metaphor, right? Like we're on a hamster wheel, and I know because I know I do split tests all the time, and I'm mostly testing like, the headline or moving pictures around or moving videos up and down. And it is a never ending process that seems to work and then it doesn't. It seems to work and then it doesn't. And I think everybody who's run tests can relate to this. But I think the big upside to what you're talking about here, Talia, is that when you understand the drivers and emotions, for lack of better words, of your perfect customer, that's when some of these other things don't matter as much. Because when you get that messaging down, right, that resonates with them, then you can unlock what you're truly desiring. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. And I would say this conversion optimization isn't about changing elements on the page. It's not the headline or the pop-up. It's about solving people's problems. If you can identify the problems that people are coming with to your website, then you can create experiences that solve them. And that's the whole point. It's not that the headline doesn't matter. It's that it's part of a bigger strategy. Everything on the page should make people feel seen. When someone lands on your website for the AI society, they should be able to say, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I feel. This is exactly the gap that I'm missing. This is what I need in my life. And I'm reading through the stuff and like, yes, okay. Oh, there's someone like me who's done this, who's felt this way. Oh, they have all this stuff. This is incredible. Yes, please sign me up. Take my money. Not because you're manipulating people or you're making them feel emotions that don't exist, but you're just resonating with them and saying, hey, I know how you feel. I know what you've tried before. Here's a better way, and let me show it to you. And that's what it is. It's all together. It's a strategy.
Love it. I'm sold. I want to learn how. So where do we start with your process? And folks, we're going to unravel this today. By the time we're done with this podcast interview, you will be able to put this to the test. So where do we begin?
We begin at the beginning. So,
okay.
So here is the good news and the bad news. The bad news is it's really hard. And what I mean by that is it's not a band-aid. This is not a beautiful, easy fix. It's not a tactic. It's not a hack. This work takes time. But if you do it, you'll unravel something that you'll be able to use forever. So the first step is research. And I say this because when people hear research, they're like, oh, not again. But research, meaningful research, not why did you buy from us? Not, hey, what feature do you like the most? Or why did you choose this plan? I'm talking about meaningful research where you uncover the top 3 pains that led people to your website, the top 3 desired outcomes, emotional outcomes that they're looking for, understanding how they feel right now, understanding how they want to feel in the future once they found a solution. When you uncover that, and we can talk about different ways, that's when you start seeing the light. That's when you can start taking the next step, which we'll talk about in a moment. But that's the first step. It's research.
Okay. Well, I love this. So let's talk about these clusters of emotions, because when we were prepping for this, you mentioned that we need to understand these, and then maybe we can talk about where to find some of the research data we're talking about.
Yeah. So here's what I would say. When we're doing our research, there's all sorts of types of research that you can do. You can do customer surveys, visitor surveys. You can do social listening, which is different kind of ways of listening to the conversations, being a fly on the wall. You can do review mining, which is literally pouring through hundreds of reviews that products and services like your own that are competing with you are getting. When you start sifting through that information, you will start seeing all sorts of repeating themes. Because I've been doing this for so long, we've been able to identify over 223 different emotional triggers.
Wow.
So there's a ton. There's a lot. But I would say this is usually when people say, okay, Talia, but you've been doing this for so long. So just tell us, what are the most common ones? So that's where these clusters come in. The clusters of emotions are clusters because it's never just one emotion. There's multiple emotions at play. The first cluster of emotions is self-image. Self-image is all to do with how I want to feel about myself after finding a solution. I want to feel pride. I want to feel smart. I want to feel that I am a better mom. I'm a better marketer. I want to feel better, a better version of myself. And that's all to do with self-image. Mm-hmm. The second cluster of emotions is social image. And usually this will come hand in hand, especially if you are a service provider, if you're in B2B. Social image and self-image are usually kind of tangled together. Social image is all about how I want other people to feel, think, or see me after I have a solution. So for example, I want other people to think of me as the go-to person in the office. I want other people to think I deserve that promotion. I want people to think that I'm smart. I want them to think that I'm a leader. I want them to think that I'm a great mom. So there's the social aspect and there's the self aspect. And they're both super important. So once you start doing that research, you will start kind of noticing when people are talking about how they want to feel about themselves, or when they're mentioning other people. They're mentioning people in the office. They're mentioning their neighbors. Suddenly their significant others in the conversation. And when you start seeing those patterns is when you get, okay, my hypothesis is that my prospects really care about their self-image, or they really care about social image. And there are many other clusters, but these are really the most common and repetitive ones.
Okay, so what I heard you say is that there's really two main emotional categories that, generally speaking, a lot of marketers, prospects, and customers fall into. Self-image is how do I feel or think about myself after using this solution? Will I
Yeah.
feel smarter? Will I feel happier? Will I feel like I've upgraded myself? These kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And then the social image is more how will others view me? Right. And think about me and feel about me. Like, will they look to me as the go-to marketing expert on AI, or will they say she's worth a promotion? I want to give her more money, or I want to hire her, right? Because
Yeah.
she is an expert. These are the kind of things we're talking about. Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
So we've talked about these clusters of emotions, and we've talked about briefly how to find this information. And you said surveys, which can be surveys you send out to your customers. Visitor surveys can be little tools that pop up little surveys when people hit your website. And then review mining. Maybe just talk about that a little bit, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, because I don't think
Of
anybody really
course.
knows what that means.
So review mining and social listening are probably my two favorite research methods, and maybe also an emotional competitor research. But generally, those two are my favorite. So review mining. Review mining is something that I learned from Joanna Wiebe, who is the OG conversion copywriter. And this is a great hack. So if you don't have a lot of customers that you can interview right now or survey, review mining means going on to your competitors' products and seeing their reviews. So what kind of reviews are they getting? But it's not just your competitors. It's also, let's say that you sell, let's say you're selling courses for training your own dog at home. And you could actually go onto Amazon and look for books about training dogs.
Hmm.
Because your prospects are probably, if they want to teach, if they want to do their own dog training, they're probably also learning it from books. Now, this could be anything. It could also be if if you have an accounting software, you could go and look at the book called Accounting for Dummies, right? So there are books on Amazon that are usually out there trying to solve the same problem that you are, but with a book. What you want to do is to mine through hundreds and hundreds of reviews that these books are getting or your competitors are getting in order to see what people are complaining about, what people love, what people are missing. What are the things that they said, oh, I wish this book would cover X, or this book didn't really get into this piece, which I'm really missing, or this book nailed this piece. Now, when you do that, you start seeing the different ways that you can outsmart your competitors, different ways that you can talk about. You'll suddenly see, oh, they really care about this. I have a feature that does that. I should be talking about this because people care about it. So it's a great way to see what people really care about. Because usually when we think about surveys, we kind of ask like, what part of my business do you like most? And they're kind of very specific to features, technology, pricing. But when you're looking at the conversations, it's just different. It's different words, and people are using their own words to describe things that they care about. So it's just a great way to really start filtering through the noise.
Amazon, you've got TripAdvisor, right? If you're like a travel service.
G2 Crowd.
G2 is for the more bigger software products. There's probably review sites for almost everything you could possibly imagine, but it's really fascinating is we know people only write reviews when they're either really excited or they're really mad, right? So other than those that are paid to write reviews. So
Right.
so what does that kind of tell us? Like can we just like download a bunch of these into AI and have it do some analysis? Do you have any tips on
Oh,
this?
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So that's one of the things that we do. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll download all of our research and then we'll upload it into either Perplexity or to Claude or ChatGPT, depending on the project. And we ask it to look for specific things. For example, put this information into two buckets: self-image and social image. So I have already pre-fed, this is what social image is, this is what self-image is, here's what I would like you to look for. Look for these negative things, or put it into negative and positive. please shine a light on all the conversations, all the reviews that mention other people. Please shine a light on all the conversations and all the reviews that mention X. So you can use this. Now, why is this great? Because I think, Mike, you and I have chatted about this in the past, but like with AI, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you go in with the information you have about your customers right now, which is, I know their age, their geographical location, I know their gender, their browser, I know maybe what role they do. And I put that into ChatGPT and I say, give me some great copy. It's going to look exactly like that. It's just going to be generic and boring. But if you pour, I don't know, 200 reviews from a book into this, into your project, into AI, and you say, hey, here's what I need you to do. Dissect this, tell me blah, blah, blah. Then you can get incredible copy because you're really feeding it with incredible and golden insights. And that's the difference with AI. You're either just dumping stuff into it and hoping it will work, or you're feeding it with just incredible, smart, important insights that you can actually use.
Well, and for some of you might have what we have for social media marketing, where you have over 1,000 testimonials from people who have given us testimonials over the years. And we could technically feed all that stuff into AI, and we could ask it to pull out these emotional clusters based on the stuff that Talia and I were just talking about. And we could write, I hope my team is actually listening to this.
Well, actually, you know what? I remember from when we did our first project together, one of the things that we identified is that so many people were saying that the best thing about the conference was the community.
Yeah.
Not feeling alone anymore, like actually meeting people like me who are in the trenches, who are doing incredible things, but I'm so lonely because usually there would only be like one social media marketer in the company. So imagine if we now took, because we didn't have that then, but imagine if we took all of our research now and put that into AI and said, hey, can you just highlight all the testimonials that mention community? And over here, can you mention all the different testimonials that mention this?
Right.
And you could put it into buckets, and you could put that on the homepage, or you could put that onto your sales page or anything, because you know what people care about. Now you're just using AI to look for that information and surface it.
Love it. Okay. So hard part, research, not necessarily hard given these little tips that Talia just gave us. All right. Let's assume we've done some research. Now what do we do?
Okay. So the next part is called an emotional targeting audit.
Okay.
When we think about a conversion optimization audit, most of us think about the basics, right? Heuristic analysis, look at some heat maps, look at some recordings, make sure you only have one call to action button and you don't have a carousel, and all sorts of things that are more UX and design specific. But again, when you're doing a CRO audit, the generic CRO audit, which to everyone here who's listening, CRO is just an acronym of conversion rate optimization. It's very surface level and basic. What we don't do is ask ourselves why these things are happening. So an emotional targeting audit is a set of questions, strategic questions that you ask yourself while you're actually looking at your pages. So you now know that your customers care about different things. You know their pains, you know their hesitations, you know their concerns, you know what desires they have. Now what you can do is you can actually go onto your website, let's say a landing page or a pricing page, and you can look at it and ask yourself a set of strategic questions that will tell you if something is resonating or not. For example, are you making it about yourself or about your customer? Number one question to ask yourself. Cool. That is an important question to ask. Or can prospects see their pains reflected on every step of the journey? The real pains that they feel? Or am I pairing every single feature or every single offer with the emotional outcome? So there's many different questions that you can ask yourself, but you can see that it's very different than do I have one button or two? Are all my call to action buttons the same color? This is you looking at things in a different lens now that you have all this information about your customers, and literally looking at the page and saying, okay, am I doing this right or not? And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is where you thrive, because this is where you'll start noticing that you're using a lot of generic stuff, that you're talking a lot about yourself, but the customer is nowhere to be found. And there's a lot of different ways to just kind of suddenly surface, oh, am I using social proof that actually dismantles hesitations and concerns? Or am I just using the customary logo bar? Oh, no, I need to change this. So it's just a great way to start getting hypotheses. Oh, hypothesis. The reason my landing page isn't converting is because people can't clearly see that this product was designed for them. Or people can't clearly see that we solve the number one pain that they feel. So the audit is the best way, once you have all those insights, to finally figure out why people aren't converting and what's stopping them from doing that.
Okay, I love this, and I want to unravel this a little bit just for sake of clarity. When we're doing this emotional targeting audit, we are asking ourselves, we're looking at the content, the sales page or multiple pages, and we're asking ourselves a couple questions. Number one, are we making it about us or are we making it about the customer? If we're making it about us, make a note. That's going to have to be tested, changed.
Yes.
Can our prospects see their pains reflected in each step of the journey? Well, that's important. I want you to talk about like what you mean by each step of the journey.
Okay. So I think when people hear me talk about emotional targeting, a lot of the times they mistake it for fluffy headlines and cute, flowery, the big promise. But I would argue that the biggest impact emotional targeting has is not in those big, huge value propositions that we have at the top of the page. It's how you weave emotion throughout the page. It's how you talk about what your customers go through every day, how they, for example, as a social media marketer, are feeling the burn because tools are changing all the time, because strategies are changing all the time. Every day there's a new whatever tool out there. AI is changing all the time. You have to keep on top of things. Everything's scary. If you just have a great headline that says, okay, become a social media expert, or that's not going to take you all the way home. Reflecting people's pains throughout the journey means that while people are reading through a page, while they're going to the next page, while they open an email from you, if they see an ad from you, everything should be reflecting how they're feeling right now, what struggles they have, what challenges they have, and then, of course, how you're going to solve that. And one of the best ways, by the way, to reflect the pain is say, here's what you've probably tried. You've tried 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they haven't worked. Here's why it hasn't worked, because I don't know, ABC. And when you do that, you're not just saying, be the best social media marketer in the world. You're saying, imagine if you were always on top of things. You never felt behind. You never felt like the world was 20 miles ahead of you, and you could stay on top of things. And this is me. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah. Or imagine your boss is so happy with your work, right? Using one of those other emotions.
Social image.
That he or she, gives you a promotion, right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. So doing that throughout the entire journey. Okay, I'm glad I asked this. So that means all of your messaging leading to that sales page, not just that sales page. And even that sales page as it goes to the checkout page, I'm assuming, right? Right up until they purchase,
100%.
correct?
100%. And I also just want to say, this is not just about copy. This is also design. It's about the colors that you're using.
Okay.
It's about your website's navigation. Okay, we've run multiple tests for our clients on the navigation of their website to make it more conversational, to immediately show case studies. For one of our clients, for example, when we did our research, we immediately saw that, look, there's no way around this. When they're trialing this company's product, they're also trialing 2 others. They just are. They're trying 3 products at the same time. So what we actually did is in the main navigation of the website, it said, compare us, and literally sent them to 5 different comparison pages in the menu, which No website does that. You don't want to send people to like, oh, by the way, we have competitors. Like most people would say, no, don't tell them about our competitors. They know you have competitors, especially in AI. They're asking for recommendations. So understanding how people make decisions. And in this customer journey, the way people were making decisions was they were actually trialing multiple products and actually saying that. So it's not just in the copy, it's in everything. It's in the visuals that you use. Like one of the questions that we ask is, do your images, your UX, your colors, do they all amplify your message? Because you could say, we have the best posture trainer in the world that will make sure that when you slouch, will remind you, sit up straight. So that's one of our clients, Upright. Incredible product. But if you don't show someone who's sitting in front of the computer, working all day, like you and I, and probably most of the people listening to this podcast today, who start off the day sitting up straight with all the intention to fix their posture. But as the day goes on, we just kind of slump because we forget. If you don't show that, then you're missing the whole point. It's not just the words. Yes, copy will always come first, but are you just using fluffy screenshots of your product? Are you just using those cute little animations because everyone else is? Or are you actually leveraging the images and the colors and the visuals on your whole customer journey to amplify your message and to drive it home? So there's all sorts of different things.
Okay, so the emotional outcome side of this, like I think everybody understands the pains, the emotional struggle. But you also said something along the lines of making sure that you pair each step or something decision. I don't remember exactly what you said with the emotional outcome.
Yes.
Talk about the emotional outcome a little bit, and how it's separate from the emotional pain, you know what I mean? And how they might work separately or together.
So what I mentioned before was when you are talking about a feature that you're selling, a lot of the times you'll see we're powered by AI, or we're an all-in-one platform for X, whatever. If you're not pairing each of your features with an emotional outcome, then you're missing the point. Meaning, if you're just saying we're powered by AI and not we're powered by AI and this is going to help you achieve this. This is why you should care that we're powered by AI. Or for example, we're an all-in-one platform. That's cool. Everyone's saying that. Why should I care? You should care because right now you're using 6 different tools to try and do marketing. But actually, apparently, I think it's 22 tools in average that marketers use. So if you're like, okay, cool, this is an all-in-one platform, but every single feature that you promote, when you want to talk about your technology, if you want to talk about your features or something that's cool about you, it has to have, and here's why you should care. Here's the result you're going to get. And not...
And have that paired with some sort of emotional desire they have. Is that correct?
Yes. The emotional desire that they have, the emotional outcome that they're going to get. I can give you an example from Upright.
Yeah, go for it.
So Upright in the past used to say, get Upright to improve your posture, powered by biofeedback. So this is incredible science that they use to literally know when you're slouching and remind you to sit up straight. Honestly, yeah, everyone wants, the right posture. Like, okay, yeah, I do want to improve my posture. But what we actually did for Upright is one of the things that we uncovered during our research, which was incredible, was that everyone has the full intention to fix their posture. No one's happy with the fact that their back hurts, their shoulders hurt, their knees hurt. And everyone starts the day, as I said, with all the intention to fix it. But as the day progresses, we forget. The one thing that we identified is that everyone had this guilt that they should be doing it. And I can't believe it. I keep forgetting and it's terrible. And there was this guilt inside of people for not actually doing it. And when we combed through Reddit, so Reddit is one of the best places to comb through conversations, so many people mentioned forgetting. Just, I forget. When I remember, it's great. But when I forget, and it's terrible. We actually added some content on almost every single page that said, look, your poor posture isn't your fault. You slouch because you forget not to. Everyone does, but there is something you can do about it. And the whole idea was outsourcing this so you never have to think about it again. Upright will do it for you. You never have to worry about it again, and you will never forget again because Upright will remind you. And that was the whole emotional angle. So anytime we mentioned biofeedback, research, sorry, it's not biofeedback research, it's biofeedback science, it was paired with, it will remind you to sit up straight. You no longer have to have that guilt. You no longer have to worry about this thing. You're outsourcing it to us. So that's an example of not just saying biofeedback science, but like literally pairing it with, and here's why this matters to you.
Love it. Talk to me about the importance of using actual words from customers and prospects instead of your own words. You know what I mean by that, right? Like using words that are maybe like common trigger words that you might have this, like you said, you might have some internal ways you describe things, but the way your customers is different, right? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. So it's called voice of customer, really. And the way it works is oftentimes marketers and businesses just call things in a certain way, and we use all these terms. But when you start combing through Reddit, Quora, LinkedIn conversations, or Facebook groups, you'll suddenly notice that they're actually calling you something completely different. They're using different terms. They're using adjectives. They're using verbs that don't, like, you've never used them to describe yourself. And it's very, very cool for two reasons. Number one is that for many startups, this is a good indicator that you're doing something wrong. You're building some product and people don't get what it's about and they're not sure and they're calling you different things and they think you solve the wrong problems that you don't actually. But the other thing is that you suddenly get sticky copy. Suddenly, instead of using your own words, you're using theirs. And you're starting to use the terms that other people use, that your prospects use. And that is a gold mine. That is incredible because instead of just saying, this is what we are, you're using their words. So it's a technique that's used a lot in conversion copywriting. And this is what's wonderful because I'm sure I'm not the only one that sometimes sits in front of a empty Google Doc, hoping words will come from somewhere, or I don't know, you're feeding stuff into ChatGPT and you're hoping it will look good, but then you're reading through it and it's just bleh. So when you are fed with customer, like voice of customer, it's so much easier. It's so much easier. All you need is a template. There's so many copywriting frameworks and templates out there for free, hundreds. And we have a tonic at Uplift too that we use, that my team uses. Once we have the most desired outcome, biggest pain, biggest concern, you can just add that in and their voice of customer. So yeah, it's just huge.
Love it. Okay. So we've talked about, we start with research, then we got into auditing. And now let's talk about how to actually put this stuff to the test, because obviously that's kind of the key to the whole thing, right? Because you just don't just make the changes, you have to run tests. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So the third step is running meaningful experiments. I kind of hinted at this before, that if you are struggling with testing and you're just kind of changing call to action button colors or just trying pop-ups or just changing headlines, you're on a hamster wheel. In order to actually get meaningful results, you need to start running meaningful tests. You can only run meaningful tests when you have meaningful hypotheses. So just like, let's go back. If you have no idea who your customers are, if you have no idea why people aren't converting on your landing page, then yes, probably what you'll do is you'll Google for best practices or search on AI. If you're powered with all of these insights that we've collected through our research and our audits, you'll start having hypotheses. I mentioned some before as an example, like my hypothesis is that the reason people aren't converting on my landing page is because they can't see that other people like them who do the same work as they do or struggle the same way as they do has also used our solution and have succeeded. So that's an incredible hypothesis. It's a big test. Okay, so what that means is now I need to go onto my page and make sure that I have enough social proof that shows that people like them, people like my prospects, have used my product, struggled in the same way, tried different things, it didn't work, tried our product, tried our service, and it worked. That's an hypothesis. That's a meaningful test. And I can give some examples of emotion-based tests.
Before we go there, I think one of the questions people have in their mind is, let's just assume our landing page is a mess. Okay. It's totally, we've learned through this, what we're doing it all wrong, right? Like, do we test little bits at a time? Do we do the whole thing and compare it against the old one? Like, cause there's so much to this, right? Like, do we just start with the opening sections? Where do we start? Because obviously I know many people listening are going to be like, wow, I've discovered a whole bunch of things that I could test. Do we do it all in one swoop? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I completely understand. And I'm going to say I'm going to answer in the most annoying way and say it depends. It depends on multiple levels. And I'm going to start at the most basic one, and that is buy-in. When it comes to testing, if you are a solopreneur, if you are the CEO or the CMO, and you don't have to answer to anyone, more or less, okay? You can run whatever you want. You can test whatever you want. That's fine. But if there are people around you and you have to convince them to write copy the way you want, to design things the way you want, or you have to get buy-in from the executive team on like, I think we're doing this wrong and we should change everything. That's going to be really, really hard. So in that case, I would say, hey, do not test big things. Do not go all in. Take an email. Write one email about the biggest pain that you've
I like
identified.
that. See if you get a lot more opens and clicks.
It's so much easier, right? Let's say that you've identified that there are 3 main pains that drive people to your website. And you want to see, but what is the one that really converts? You can write 3 separate emails, one about each pain, and see what gets the most opens, what gets the most click-through rate, and what gets the most conversions. Now, a conversion can be anything. It's a download of lead magnet. It's a sign up. It's a sale. But you can literally see what motivates people to actually buy something. So it's not you saying you're experiencing this. It's talking about the pain, talking about how they try to solve it, and here's a new solution that you can use and seeing how that works. And you can do the same thing with desired outcomes. You can say, through my research, I've uncovered 3 desired outcomes that I think people want. I don't want to go immediately to my homepage and change it. I will test it in an ad. I'm going to test it in my emails, and you can send 3 different emails and see what gets people to click through, what gets people to convert. So on that aspect, if you are working in an organization or with a team and you're worried about buy-in, this is a great way to go about it because first of all, you're armed with research, right? Now you have all this stuff that you've done. So then you can go to your team and say, look, here's what I've uncovered. Our prospects are saying all of this. Over here on our website, we're saying this. Now, I know this might scare you. So I'm not going to test our homepage. I'm over here testing some emails, not going to bother anyone. I'll let you know how it goes. So that's one way to go about it. And, when I get on stage and I speak, I'm always showing like these huge redesigns because companies have hired us to do this for them. But oftentimes, if you're internal, it's a little harder. If you have the buy-in, if it's easier for you to run tests, which by the way, not everyone can run significant tests, so we can also talk about that. But if you can, I would advise to go all in. Now, all in doesn't mean trying to solve everything at once because that's a mess. You won't know what caused the impact and why. But if your hypothesis is that people coming to your website cannot see that this solution was specifically built for them, let's say, I don't know, you have a product that's for agency owners. That's what it's for. And when agency owners, your hypothesis is when agency owners land on my website, they can't see that this is for them. They think it's for everyone because I'm speaking to everyone. And I need to be more specific. So now you can run a series of tests that are just around that. If you know what you're trying to learn, how do I show people that this was built for agency owners? It's designed for them. Then slowly you can optimize the landing page in terms of the copy, in terms of the visuals that you're using. But that is your hypothesis and you're sticking to it. You're not also going, and the social proof and the visuals, they're not resonating too well. So you've got a hypothesis and you're trying the different things at once.
Love it. Okay, let's give an example of either a client or yourself that you've done this with, just so people can understand how to take the emotional message essentially and effectively put it to work. Do you have any stories or any examples that you've done yourself that you could share?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I mentioned Uprate, which is a great example.
Right.
Another cool example is with teamwork.com. Teamwork is a project management solution software, and it's for agency owners. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's client facing, if you work with clients and you're facing clients, so you could be an agency, a service provider, a consultant, a creative team, a law firm, and you work with clients, you would want to use teamwork.com. Now, can everyone in the world who needs a project management solution use Teamwork? Absolutely. It's a phenomenal tool, and they have all the different I would say different features that the biggest competitors that you can think of, think Asana, think Monday.com, think ClickUp have. But Teamwork has done a lot of work. We worked with them for almost 3 years on changing and optimizing everything on the website to speak to client-facing teams, from the comparison pages that we've written for them to a homepage, landing pages, product pages, emails, and even their menu, as I mentioned at the beginning. Creating content around specific pains and saying, look, everyone has a reporting feature in their project management solution. But Teamwork actually created a reporting feature that helps agency owners see profitability. This is a huge pain for an agency owner. I know, I run an agency. It's hard. You don't always know if you're profitable or not. And you sometimes actually want to know if Pam in accounting is doing her work, or I don't know, if I have enough resources. Everything that we wrote and created and tested on Teamwork's website was around showing agency owners and project managers that all these questions that they have about whether their colleague is doing their work, if they have enough resources, if they can move things around, if they should hire more people, we put that all in there. And that is how you weave the emotion through every step of the journey.
Talia, we could continue talking all day long because there's so much more to that well of yours. It runs very, very deep. First of all, thank you for sharing your ridiculously valuable insights with us. If people want to connect with you on the socials, what's your preferred platform? And if maybe they want to check out your services, where do you want to send them?
So if you want to connect with me, LinkedIn and Instagram are probably my favorite spots right now. Also on all the other stuff, but those are the two go-tos, / Talia GW. And if you want to learn more, the book is probably the best place to start. But
say the name of the book again.
Emotional Targeting, Win Hearts, Boost Sales, Own the Market. Or you could just go to taliawolf.com/book. And you can get that there. And blogs and all sorts of free templates and worksheets and all on Get Uplift, which is the name of my agency. So,
Talia, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.